Hey, what's up everybody, and for today's stream we're going to be playing The Blind of the New World again. So, last stream we left off, I actually, closed the game without saving it, but thankfully I got back to where we were and made a save point, so we won't be missing out on anything. Like, existence, so we just get to start right from here. Basically, for context of the scene, we have, well, you could just watch the previous stream's VOD, which I'm also now finally starting to upload to my YouTube channel, which is also Beastrofig. But that probably won't be up for at least, like, a day or two, because stream VODs take a long time to upload, and I have to upload all three. I'll also be uploading all of my future VODs there as well, so if you want to see any VODs for streams you might have missed and are now gone, then you can check there. So yeah. Except the Little Nightmares 1 streams. Those will forever be gone to the ashes, as I forgot to upload their VODs. But that's the plan for the future. So, how did you find this place? Trade secret. My turn. What are you doing here? What does it look like I'm doing? I'm setting up my club's meeting space. This is where your club meets? Oh yeah, I forgot to actually elaborate on the story while I went on that whole tangent. Basically we have just, this girl is the head of the, I forget what it's called, like the cultural arts club, something like that. It's not the regular art club, it's a different type of art club. And basically in this whole world, everyone's dressed up in holograms, and holograms are the norm. But, main character over here can't see the holograms because he's disabled. And so basically, yeah, he's just really sad because, yes, very much so. So much so that I even named the stream after Angst. Angst to Electric Boogaloo is what was said by our viewer, Starscream. What's up? Welcome to today's stream. I managed to fix the problem of not having a save file. As I entered the sorry excuse for a cabin, I had a look around. Despite the shabby exterior, the interior had a very cozy feel to it. Yeah, no, the inside of this, the outside of this was completely different. It was a complete shack outside. It didn't actually take that long. I managed to skip through most of the scenes that I had to go through, but it was still just kind of embarrassing that I had to go through the process in the first place. Yeah, the magic shit shack. That is one way to refer to it. The room had been decorated with antique wooden furniture and framed works of art that had been hung on the walls. I couldn't tell you the names of all the artists, but since I had definitely seen most of them before, I could only assume they were famous works of art. It was funny, but, like, it was funny at the cost of my sanity. From the stepladder and the nail on the wall where it looked like the girl had been about to hang it, another painting, I guessed that my vision of a corpse hanging from a rope was just my mind playing tricks on me. Behind her, there were all sorts of sculptures and framed canvases lying about. Quite apt for an art room, honestly. It was a bit of a mess. Have you ever seen an art room before? You can't see any of the cool hologram stuff. You just look bland. That's what comedy demands. Well, if you want to get into a serious topic, there are a lot of content creators that struggle with mental health, and I wish all of them the best that are struggling with that. Sometimes that do be what comedy demands. It had been such a long time since I had seen such a sight. In this wasteland of a machine, seeing all of this stuff, anything really, lying around in piles was somehow quite comforting. This man just, like, looks at his bowl of cereal and pops off. There's no tools here. You're right, there actually isn't. Like, there's just that one canvas. It was like I had been transported into some kind of fairy tale. As she stared at me with that disinterested look of hers, I realized something. How do you stare at someone disinterestedly? Those two features are, like, different? Ah, yes, blood art, let's go. Let's go. You know, sometimes you just need a really deep crimson hue, and you just got your blood on you, and you just... I realized something. The look of this room and the girl's appearance had something in common. I had never seen anything like them. In the world outside, it wasn't possible to see a sight like this without the use of holograms. Most people had probably never even touched a piece of furniture made out of real wood. But I mean, like, that's actually kind of a good thing, because not using wood stops deforestation. But, like, even then, what are they using to build this stuff? Plastic furniture? I guess they could be using, like... No, what are they using to make this furniture? Yeah, 3D printers, duh. You know, sometimes you just 3D print couch. You wouldn't download a couch, would you? I had surely never laid eyes on a place like this before. I mean, yeah. Honestly, I would probably download a couch too. That was why I was starting to believe what I was seeing. Finally, after a year of emptiness, I was seeing a hologram cover an actual space. Or... it is reality. You dumb little child. The vitality of the room was levels above what I could experience with those sunglasses. I don't know why he didn't think of the conclusion that it's just real life, but, like, I feel like that's what it is. I have no way of confirming these thoughts, but, like, 3D printer plastic, often how it works is inside of most 3D printed stuff is actually hollow to save on filament. And most of the space inside of it is done in a triangle-like pattern. Kind of like bird bones, if you know about that. So yeah, when I was in my shop class, I spent some time 3D printing, and often the insides would be hollow. Yeah. The ultimate test of society. Do you break the hollow couch? I need to set up an actual streaming overlay at some point, because at this point none of my VODs are going to have chat, so I'll just be talking to myself for 2.5 hours. Ugh. I'll set that up for, like, next week's streams. Damn, 3D printers at school in Canada be crazy. Yeah. Just like your question mark. Just like some streamers get setups where you can actually see the chat on the screen of the stream. So currently, when I upload my VODs, it'll just be like the chat's not gonna be there. I think. I don't know, unless some magic is pulled. But just gotta set up that kind of stuff. You can see it when you watch the VODs on Twitch, but the Twitch VODs only last for 14 days. I'm uploading my VODs to YouTube. Yeah. I was talking earlier about how I'm starting to upload my VODs to YouTube, so I'll be doing that. Oh, now I gotta start making thumbnails. Oh. Really, it was like how I had experienced the world through the electron corneas. Though I was too young to vividly remember the experience, it reminded me of the beautiful scenes that I had been able to see before. The wreckage of an exterior that I had seen and this mess of an interior were nothing but holograms. The actual building could have been made completely out of metal for all I knew. Or it is real. It's okay. I don't expect you to instantly show up for every stream in like 2 seconds. People got schedules. I've got my own. I had to cancel 2 streams in a row, so I missed my own streams. I don't care if you missed them. But this glimpse into the real world that I hadn't experienced for over a year. Oh, he's only had this like for a year? He's only had this problem for like a year. And he's this angsty? God damn. Yeah, I actually scheduled my streams so it would be a good time slot for people in the East Coast of America can watch it after they're like done work and eating, and like people in the Pacific Coast can watch it before they eat. So I just planned for that time frame of 3 hours before I reach this. It'll be 4, which is not a bad time to watch a stream. And if you're in the East Coast, it's 7, which is, well, I'm here to stream, so just figured statistically that would be best. Something that others were able to experience every day of their lives. It was dizzying, but comforting. Is this the new location for the Classical Arts department? Oh, Classical Arts, that was what it was. I forgot about it earlier. I had made up my mind. I had discovered a secret place, the only place where I could see the holograms. This secret place was the only place where I could conquer my loneliness and cure my disease. That's right. The girl stood up straight as she said that, apparently quite proud of her creation. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what she was so proud of. It really was just a mess. No one is going to be able to find this place, let alone join your club. Isn't that the appeal? It's like a secret clubhouse. Marketing skills. Marketing skills. What kind of girl outside of elementary school still had a secret clubhouse? All of the cool ones, obviously. Who doesn't want a secret clubhouse? That's like the dopest thing you can do. More importantly, what brought you up here? We met yesterday, don't you remember? Yesterday? Yep. It was a simple answer, so why was I suddenly feeling so awkward and embarrassed? I got a crush! The girl stood in silence for quite some time, staring. Ah! Then she let out a little cry as she had suddenly remembered. Right, I was recruiting in front of the school yesterday. That's right, you were. Forgetting her own actions in less than a day seemed a bit much. I've done that. I've done that. But she kept giving me this strange look. It's just... Just what? Is there any chance we met before all that? As she asked, she scratched her cheek as if she wasn't really sure of the answer either. Fuck this judgy kid. You're right, honestly. Stop being so judgy of other people. Like, come on. I don't remember meeting you before. Maybe you saw me around somewhere? Never mind, I just had this feeling. Probably just a feeling, then. I wasn't nearly popular enough to forget someone who could make such a strong impression. What does being popular have to do with... Oh, I guess, yeah. I would just remember the people you meet out of common decency, but also, I forget most of the people I meet, so I'm not one to judge. Is it really just a feeling, though? Probably. Unless it's not. She muttered to herself and started looking me up and down again. Back to club business. For you to be able to find this place, you must be different from those Philistines back there. This definitely wasn't a normal meeting place for a school club. Well, yeah, obviously. It was blocked behind a digital wall. Or no, you could be some weird stalker who followed me up here. Respect to this girl for judging the clearly shady character that has just come into her little house thing. I feel like this kid was angsty before this happened. He just got justification now. I feel like you're probably right, honestly. I am not a stalker. Maybe all of the expectations I had built up about her yesterday were nothing more than fantasy. The rocking chair returns. Oh no. I think I'm, like, sit in a different chair when I'm doing this. The ultimate power of switching to my other chair that I also happen to have located nearby in case of emergencies. Please stand by, switching chairs. Honestly, they're both pretty comfortable, and I think this one's probably better for sitting in long term, just because of how the chair's designed, ergonomics and all that. This one forces me into a better posture. With all the rumors of her eccentricities floating around, maybe I should have realized how odd she was actually going to be. You really want to join my club? And if I do? Why did it feel like I was begging to join her weird club? Maybe I shouldn't have come. That'd be great. Then let's start with a little test of your skills. Do we have to? Do we gotta? Stop whining. Stop complaining. You're here. You're having fun. You gotta participate in the club. Well, you crossed a rather large boundary to get this far, so we'll skip level 1 and go straight to level 2 to the level 2 test. A boundary? Was she talking about the hologram wall back at the school? Before all that, I do have one question for you. What's that? How did you get past the wall down here? Did you somehow hear of this place before crossing through the hologram? It seemed practically impossible for a normal person to get past that wall without them having a special reason to come back here. She must have had a reason for crossing through. Skills? What skills? You're right, this kid has shown nothing but his immaculate skill at whining. Maybe her reason was related to why I was able to see the holograms in this place. If I could figure out her reason, maybe I wouldn't have to stick around this club for long. I mean, if my blindness went away, would it be that bad to stick around anyway? You're going to have to pass my test if you want to know that little secret. It didn't seem that I would be able to get my answers easily and just scram. I never planned to show this painting to anyone else so soon, but since such a promising student has made himself known, I guess I'll just have to make an exception. Hey, don't just say that about yourself, Starscream. You're better than me at Dark Souls, so, like, that might not be saying much, but, like, you're better than me at Dark Souls. The girl looked through a mess of framed paintings, pulled one particular piece out, and held it up for me. Here, I want you to have a look at this painting and tell me what you think. This painting. When I saw what painting she was holding up, I was at a complete loss for words. Again, though, why is it so weirdly distorted? It was a painting of the school around sunset, but it was not a sight that normal people would be able to see. It was the dark, dreary sight of the mechanical world I lived in. So there's aliens now? Might be a bit of a jump, but like... Never know. Never know. I could see the silver paneling and pipes that covered the surface of the school. You could see the skeletal-looking drones hovering here and there. That painting, it was done through the eyes of the blind. It was the school stripped of all holograms, shaded by the colors of the setting sun. A painting of a world only a person with the blindness could see. Based on how dark the colors were, it seemed like it had been painted over a number of times, speaking to a certain artistic experience. The flaws were so numerous and apparent that anyone with the tiniest bit of painting experience painting could probably point them all out. Yeah, like, seriously, this right there, why are they all smudged? Also, like, if we look back at the scene that it's from, this is like a dead ringer of the school. So, what does that say about the art team of this game? I'm sorry, art team. You did good. They probably wouldn't have been able to tell that all of these flaws were due to the artist pouring their emotions out onto the canvas, though. Let me tell you, this is a test of your aesthetic tastes. I don't want anyone in my club who doesn't have an eye for art. I'm not quite sure what I feel about it. Honestly, there was probably no one else in the world who could look at this painting and experience this many conflicting emotions. Go on with your drama. Like, ugh. Come on, he's blind, stop being ableist. Well, I mean, like... You're right. You're right. Shouldn't bully the child too much. Just a little bit. But you've been bullying him too. I'm holding you accountable for that if I'm being held accountable. If I'm going down, you're coming with me. What if the development team is blind? Well then I'd say I've got to respect them for making something that looks so coherent, but maybe pursue a different career than the visual arts. But I didn't pay money for this. You're right, I'm the fool here. I paid money for this game. Nah. Hey, I'm getting time out of playing it, so... It works. How is it? Don't be shy. Just tell me what you think. To put it simply, it's dark, but the painting speaks to both the emotions and inexperience of the painter. Only someone with both inexperience and an excess of emotion could have created a work like this. I had shared my feelings about other works before, but that didn't make me feel any less awkward doing it this time. Are you trying to tell the blind what they can and can't do? I'm not one to say it. People are free to do whatever they want to do. I'm not gonna tell the blind people that they can't get a career in the visual arts. I'm just saying, like, it is definitely... Okay, but, like, he could bite down on a metal rod and feel the vibrations to tell what notes the music was. I don't know how you'll, like... Do you just, like, rub your head against... Oh, I guess, actually, blind people can figure out the shapes of general objects by feeling around them, so...
Did I tell you the joke that I told my dentist today?
No.
So they're getting me a night guard, and I asked them if the night guard was going to guard me from any monsters at night too, or does that cost extra?
I've checkmated myself, you're right. This is my own failure. Exactly. The girl's face lit up as she voiced her agreement. The bleak face of our school, shaded with those dark colors, gives us a look into the mind of the passionate yet troubled painter. It's a true work of art, right? She bragging. Nice one, background character. Huh? You really like this painting, huh? Of course. I came to this school because it produced a painter who could make a work of art like this. Oh, okay. It's not her work of art. I thought she was bragging about her own stuff. Came to this school. Ah, right. She was the #1 in the whole school. She could pick whichever high school she wanted. Where did you find this painting? When I was still back in middle school, I went to an art show that had collected the works of high school students in the area. Seeing what corner the curator had stuffed this piece in, I realized that it was a distorted and ugly view of art those curators had. They set up art exhibits like that? I enrolled in this school and entered into the art club because I wanted to work with the person who painted this, but I wasn't able to find the painter. No matter how much I asked around, I just couldn't get a straight answer. Maybe the person just wanted their privacy and didn't want anyone to know about them. Even so, they shouldn't have let that person leave the art department. Imagine someone with this much talent giving up on art. There's no paint. It's a blank canvas, not painting yet. There's no paint. True. There is yet to be any actual painting done. She's just showing off other people's paint. I understand liking the subject matter and feeling of this piece, but technically it has a lot of flaws. That's true. It's a little lacking there, but with all of the emotion in this work, aren't you curious what else the person might have come up with if they had continued painting? Well, I mean, it really speaks to the lack of vision in both the students and the teachers in the art club. To think that they could miss talent like this. But what's all this have to do with your classical arts club? Good question. I was right to have my eye on you. What? Hadn't you just called me a stalker? No matter how I think of going about it, finding the person who painted this seems like an impossible task. Instead, I decided to set up the classical arts club. If there is a place where we can foster real talent and create similar works of art, maybe we can lure the painter to our club before they graduate. Maybe they've already graduated. Have you considered that? She was betting it all on the fact that it was a student currently enrolled and attending our school who had painted that. Should I point out the flaw in her plan? If you just wanted to paint something similar, you could have just stayed in the normal art club. No, it's not as simple as that. From what I've seen, they are hindering the art students, forcing them to use hologram canvases and graphic tools. So that's when I came up with this great idea. The best way to replicate a work of art, that would be to paint it like they did in the old days, with real brushes and paints. Good idea, huh? And you have some reason to justify this plan of yours? Of course I do. When I was asking around, I heard the painter had switched exclusively to oil paints after creating this work. But since the art club doesn't have much funding, they weren't able to fund an endeavor like that. Huh? How could they know something that specific without being able to give her a name? Too much art, people. It was a bit of a leap, but I was surprised by the thought that she had put into all of this. Really, the techniques in the painting the girl was still holding up were quite similar to some of those found in oil paintings. So in the Classical Arts Club, in order to produce work similar in style to this one, we won't be touching holograms or digital design in either way. Instead, we will be using a more traditional approach to art. You understand? Seems like you're putting a lot of importance on one work by a mere art student. She had based an entire club around a single painting. Was butterfly effect an apt description for all of this? A mere art student. The painter is so much more than that. Can't you see? No, he can't. He's blind. But damn, you're bullying the disabled. Are you the first person to ever stream this? Judging by the fact that it was a category on Twitch, I doubt that I'm the first person. But it is a visual novel that was made by a Korean company that released in, like, May, so I imagine there aren't too many people behind it yet. We can check. Just pull up Twitch. Launch Chrome. Go into the regular Twitch page. I'm gonna stalk other people's streams. I am the only person live right now. So, there's that. There's one other video. So, I think I'm pretty, exclusive when it comes to streaming this game. Wait a minute, what? Oh, you're right, wait. Why is it 20 seconds? Anyways, I am the only person that appears to be streaming this game in English, so there's that. She looked like a pouting child. She really cared a lot for this painting. Well, I'll give you that. This wasn't painted by your average student. Good. 20 seconds and they said, fuck this game. I don't blame them. But I started this, so I'm gonna stick it out. Stay committed to, whatever it is you do. Finish the things you start. That's probably the saying. I don't know. Don't speak proverb. With a little ahem and a giggle, the girl looked satisfied. You passed your test. Welcome to the club. I suddenly felt a little overwhelmed. It felt like I had just been hit with an unexpected jab while my guard was lowered. She literally just said, like, welcome. God damn. I get that you don't talk to many people, but, like, there's gotta be a level for how antisocial you are, right? She was slightly eccentric, but seeing her smile like that, she just seemed like a normal yet quite attractive first year. Don't call the child. That's a child. I'm calling the police. I didn't want to have to bring it up again, but like, child. Crime. I still haven't introduced myself. I feel like the second I start trying to pronounce names, I am going to immediately do something very bad and also racist. I'm gonna turn on the audio and see how she pronounces it. And then from there, we'll just hope I don't butcher it too bad. Pop down a quick save. Settings. Just go to log. No, I feel like I definitely can't say that without butchering it. So, if anyone here who knows how to, if anyone ever watches this and they know how to speak Korean, I am gravely sorry for what I have done. I am gravely sorry for what I am about to do, but, I've got to say their name at some point. And I'm sorry it had to be like this, but Chonya. Right. That's a good idea right there. Give them a nickname. What do we call this girl? Alright, we're calling her Jailbait. Okay, Choo Choo is also a pretty good idea, but I feel like that is also bordering on something we probably shouldn't say. Yeah, thanks. What's with the lukewarm response? I don't know. I'm not sure how people feel about me turning the name into Choo Choo. Someone might get offended. I'm just trying to not get cancelled. Because that would suck to do in my first, like, month of streaming. But that's what trains say. It is what trains say. What's with the lukewarm response? Huh? What was that? What was lukewarm about it? How do I... Ellipses? How do I say ellipses? What's wrong? You haven't told me your name. Do you just want me to call you Mr. Sophomore? She was touching a hologram off to the side as she said that. It seemed like she was looking at my information again. Hadn't she done all of that yesterday? You can see it all on your hologram. Why ask? I can only see what year you are. Until my system hears you say your name, it won't give out that kind of personal information. You just want me to call you sir? Or maybe bro? That's alright. I'm definitely not a sir, and you calling me bro is making me feel really uncomfortable. In older Korean society, even a year difference meant that people needed to use a style of talking with... Oh, I just turned off the UI. Oh, you don't. It's implied silence, big brain. I know it's implied silence, but I feel like I shouldn't just say nothing. In older Korean society, even a year difference meant that people needed to use a style of talking with titles and honorifics out of respect for someone's age and higher status. With the new generation, most people didn't use that style of talking unless there was a more significant age gap of 5 or 6 years. It seemed like that style of talking was slowly making its way out of the culture, except when it came to the elderly, or clearly defined business relationships. Besides in business, using honorifics with someone the same age was reserved for absolute strangers, and would make the listener feel the space between them. Since neither of us had used a single respectful honorific so far, changing that up now would only make things awkward between us. Then do the anime inhale gasp. Since we were going to be seeing a lot of each other, if she didn't even know my name, it would make things awkward to the point of hindering our relationship. No matter how I looked at it, there was a simple choice to be made, if I didn't want to look like an idiot. I'm CJ. Well, I guess I look forward to working with you too. That was so not it, lol. I don't know, man. I don't want to make noises like that on stream. I'll get cancelled on twitter.com. Jailbait flashed me a wide smile. I'd do it if I could. I'd need more practice to do it too. I haven't really practiced that, as it's not something I'd ever seen myself needing to be able to do. Good, it's going to be a fun semester. Ugh, somehow things were feeling awkward regardless. I could feel the heat rise to my face. Well then, I officially appoint you my number 2. Let me explain the goals of this club. Number 2? There's nobody else yet. Before I moved the club out here, there were a few students who showed some interest, but they all failed that test. They didn't have an eye for art. That's why I'm all alone out here. Well, now that you're here, I guess I can't say that anymore. I know. You're right. I just don't know how to do it, man. I just didn't want to admit that I didn't know how to do it. I don't know how to do funny anime noises. Those other students tried out for a club this obscure, but she didn't seem the least bit sorry for having turned them down. This is the current situation of the classical arts department. I mean, I heard you can't do... Yeah, I know you heard I can't do it, but, like... Yeah. Jailbait turned and rolled out a rather shaky-looking whiteboard. Then she grabbed a marker and started writing. Where had she found that relic? It actually had wheels. The year is 2041. Wheels don't exist. It must have been pure nostalgia that would make something create a hologram of a whiteboard like that. She wrote out 3 phrases on the blackboard. Member recruitment, club activities, and securing the club's location. Well, I mean, you already got a location. I mean, I guess you haven't secured it, but, like, you do need some members, too. She brought out a whiteboard just for that? In truth, the Classical Arts Club has not officially been recognized as a club of the school by the school yet. I've got an outline of the club's agenda, but in order to be officially recognized, we need to submit a report outlining these 3 things. In creating the club, it seemed like she had already pushed her way through some of the hurdles by sheer force of will. To even start an unofficial club these days, there was a bunch of difficult steps involving parent-teacher conferences and whatnot. It's unofficial. Just don't tell people. Just don't tell people you're doing it. God. I don't even know how to, like, just not tell people about things. Damn. It seemed like they had given her a pass on going through with those steps. That was probably due to her being a top-ranked student. First, in regards to a new member recruitment, the teachers saw what I did yesterday and said they admired my passion. They said that even if I didn't get any new members, they would regard that part fulfilled as long as I don't try to recruit in front of the school gate again. So basically, don't do that again. It was weird. Just, we'll give you the permission. Just don't do that. That meant they did have a problem with her standing in the middle of the path, impeding the flow of traffic into the school. But seeing Childbait's cold demeanor today, it definitely didn't feel like she needed or wanted any other students to join her club. If I had come to this club just one day later, what would her reaction have been then? It was a good thing I found this place when I did. As for the second item, the club activities. Since we are the Classical Arts Club, whether it's sculpture or painting, we will be using traditional tools and mediums. We will have to get an approval for all that. As for me, I'm going to be focusing on oil on canvas. And as for other activities, well, since I don't really have a lot of other supplies right now, you'll have to start with oils as well, or find your own materials. Ain't got the funding. Do we have any funds for the club? Not really. I already used up all of our starting funds. Until we get recognized as an official club, we won't be getting anything else. How would a strange little club like hers gotten any funds in the first place? Unofficial clubs got money? Why is the club location on the list? Isn't this going to be where the club is located? That's right, but we need to clean this place up a little and then bring the club advisor to inspect it. I had a place inside the school, but they ran me out of there. They really don't want this girl making a club. Why? You already heard about why. She already said that it was because... They already said that it was because she was doing a bunch of hammering into the walls. Damn, boy, I ain't even got memory. I had already heard rumors of her nailing boards to a classroom wall, but... See? I nailed boards to the classroom wall. You already knew. You already... That hadn't been just some ridiculous rumor then. It was true. This guy. This guy. Look at this dude. The holograms aren't enough for decoration? This is the Classical Arts Club. You think we are going to be decorating with only holograms? Maybe it's just my own thought, but wouldn't you feel more inspired to draw in a more natural-looking environment? No way. So the exterior of this building? Ah, you noticed that? Just like the hologram covering, this building is actually made completely out of wood. I wanted the clubhouse to have a classical feel to it. Did she build this herself? Like, oh wait, it does have a window. I thought it was a hole in the wall, but if you look really, really close, you can see the window lattice. It's just really hard to see. So that wreck of an exterior was perfectly in line with Madam President's artistic tastes. Okay, so you don't want her to call you like bro or sir, but you're gonna call her Madam President. Madam Art team's fault. But seeing how happy she was, I couldn't bring myself to say how I really felt, and chose to hold it in instead. I had no idea the whole building was made out of wood. It's all just a hologram anyway. Still, don't you think a hologram of lumber and actual lumber would look different? That's pretty much the whole theme of this club, distinguishing the real from holograms. I'm sure there are some with a critical eye who could see the lumber within the hologram. That's exactly the kind of sensitivity that an artist needs to approach life with. Though we were students here, not artists. Why can't you be both? But is this building really owned by the school? It doesn't matter how we dress it up if it isn't on school premises. They'll never be okay with it. That's not going to be a problem. It may look like the school has stopped maintaining this place, but it is on school grounds. Before I switched its look with my new hologram, it just looked like a storage shed. It looks like it was used to be connected to the rear gate of the school, but no one uses the back way anymore. Why would they block up a perfectly good path like that? Well, I would guess it was either an irresponsible exterior designer or an irresponsible government official. More verbal evidence that this girl had an unbending will. This is killing my brain cells. Yeah. Either way, you want to keep using this place for the club? Yes, our main focus is going to be cleaning this place and the surrounding area for quite some time. All that mess outside? At this rate, was I ever going to figure out how I could see her and this area's holograms? The sun's going to set soon. Let's call this first meeting here and head out. Let's make one thing clear, though. If you're going to be in this club, I will not allow absences without prior approval. Keep that in mind. She's a little tyrant, making this man constantly attend. She was still wearing a smile, but her words were stern and decisive. Let's head back to the school. With that, we headed back down the path and back toward the school. Maybe it was all the grass that got in the way, but it seemed to take a lot longer to get back than it should have. I thought Jailbait might show a moment's hesitation as she went through the hologram with a wall blocking her path, but my worries turned out to be for nothing. Despite it looking like an actual wall to her, she just closed her eyes and ran straight through the barrier. It all looked a little dramatic, but it wasn't completely uncalled for. It looks like an ordinary wall, but you went through it like it was nothing at all. Hehe. It's not bad if you just imagine it's like a platform 9 3/4. Yo, is that a Harry Potter reference? Harry Potter fans in the chat, I have actually never read the books, didn't finish watching the movies either. I'm not a Harry Potter fan at all. But yo, that's a reference. They're getting sued. Oh no, I accidentally minimized the window. Against. Is that some sort of obscure movie reference I'm supposed to get? Why? Never mind, I actually love this game. Phenomenal rating. Game of the year. Phenomenal. Bravo. Since I couldn't see the wall at all, it was a little hard to wrap my head around the strange sight I had just seen. To be frank, it looked kind of silly to me. As I replayed the scene in my mind once more, I realized something else. Even though I could see Jailbait's normal appearance, I hadn't been able to see the wall as she passed through it. Within the walls of the school, the landscape remained desolate. Though I was able to see Cho-hyun in the clubhouse she had decorated so clearly, my vision was limited to that area. Okay, now I'm just giving up. I'm saying the actual name. It's too hard to differentiate it every single time I see it. I'll just try and not butcher it too bad. I couldn't find one clear and consistent pattern yet. Honestly, the reason I even knew that path was back there was because of that painting. While I was troubling myself with all these questions, Cho-hyun looked at me. It looked completely fine as she struck up a conversation. The way that you seamlessly said jailbait there triggered me. What's wrong with me seamlessly calling her jailbait? It's true! The one you showed me before? Right. Where do you think that painting was set? What background did you see? Well, I mean, we just kind of saw the actual school, because, like, we can't see them holograms. It was right here, at the gate. Maybe a normal person would have had a hard time recognizing the place, but one of the blind like me couldn't miss that fact. Wow, you figured out that one fast. I pored over that painting for quite some time before I figured out where it was set. I kept my mouth shut and gave her a little nod. You're right, though. The painter kind of covered up a few of the school's details, but they were definitely looking at the school when they painted all of that. Now, it looks like a perfect fit for me. Looks almost like the exact same image was painted in real life and in the painting. Almost exactly the... It's the same building. It's just the same. It's the same image. But they definitely were looking at the school when they painted all of that. I finally figured it out one day when I was painting a little landscape for an art club project a while back. Unlike what the rumors had led me to believe, she seemed to have actually put her heart into the art club for a while. I had spent my time at the club skipping out on all of the projects they had assigned. They could have called me a phantom for how much I'd actually showed my face there. The main reason was because I needed to leave school and see Dr. Nugent often back then. If I had been serious about school life and art back then, I could have always headed back to participate in club activities after the counseling sessions. Unfortunately, that just wasn't me, and I preferred heading home after my appointments. If you really look closely, you can see that there are barren, lifeless trees where that wall stands now. Maybe it was winter when the painter did that painting. That back entrance wasn't even in the shot of the painting. I decided to see if the place behind that wall was actually empty, so one day I stuck my hand through and found out that it was. After a bit of exploration, I came up on that storage shed back there. And you've been cleaning that place up all by yourself? It was completely empty, so that wasn't a problem. Lugging all my stuff up that hill was the horrible part. Wait, so all of that junk up there was hers? Well, who else's would it be? Do you think they just keep a bunch of art supplies back there? No. Probably. I don't know. I've never been to a school. That's a lie. Cleaning was a bit of a chore. You cleaned it all yourself? These days, drones could clean every nook and cranny of a building without a hitch. Sometimes, someone cleaning something themselves, that was something I'd only read about in books. Of course I did. I might have cheated a tiny bit, though. I can't even imagine how you might cheat. How do you cheat at cleaning? I'll show you tomorrow. Just you wait and see. She flashed me a big smile as she said that. Ugh, awkward. As we passed through the front gate of the school, we ran out of things to say and walked along the path in silence. It was a little embarrassing to admit, but it was the first time I'd actually been alone with a girl my age. Nerd. Had I ever been alone with a woman? Well, I mean, you had the doctor. Dr. Eugen. She was something altogether different from what a woman should be, so I scratched her off my mental list. You can't say that about someone. God dang. You can't just go around saying that about people. Come on, man. How do you normally get home? As I was nervously considering all of the possibilities of my current situation, Cho-hyun started with her pleasantries. I normally take the bus. Well then, once we reach the bottom of this hill, we'll be going our separate ways. I normally walk home. I see. It turned out to be quite a stroll down the hill as we both walked on in silence. Somewhere in the middle, the awkward silence started to feel a bit comforting. Maybe my notion that a conversation had to be this terrifying thing without any breaks was nothing more than a delusion. But where was this strange feeling coming from? This all felt like something I had experienced before. Yet I had surely never walked home with anyone else. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Yep, see you tomorrow, Mr. Sophomore. And you... Okay, I guess. To be fair, I can't complain about them not calling each other by their names. I did call her jailbait for a solid, 20 minutes. With that last playful smile, she crossed the road and headed off to her home. Come to think of it, when was the last time I told anyone that I'd see them tomorrow? Let's go! It's the computer. Making this game weird, man. That's what I'm saying. After a quick bite, I honestly prefer a slow bite. Personal opinion. I put my dish in the dishwasher and headed over to my PC. My faulty eyes didn't only rob me of my ability to see holograms, it also robbed me of the ability to access the data through those holograms, making it impossible for me to message in real time. I had to use my computer to check for any missed messages, just in case someone had tried to contact me. Thus, coming home and checking for messages on my PC after dinner became a part of my normal life. Yeah, sounds like what I do. Today I had quite a few messages. 3 were from Dr. Yujin. That made me nervous. Some rather important business has come up. You need to come in as soon as you get this message. Actually, since you won't see this message till tonight, I think you should swing by the hospital tomorrow morning. Ah, and you've met up with that art club girl by now, right? Thankfully I had. Oh, so thankful. If I hadn't been able to meet up with Cho-hyun today, I would have been in for quite an earful from the doctor. I didn't even want to imagine the ugly things she would have said. I let out a little sigh of relief, and when I looked back at the monitor, I saw a message from an address that I didn't recognize. I'm glad that I met you today. Hope you try your best. From the short and concise language of the message, I assumed it was from Cho-hyun. That's the log. When you received a message, the polite thing to do was send one back, right? But what should I send? It definitely wasn't bragging to say that my writing skills were subpar. Yeah, that's definitely not bragging. As I racked my brain over what to say and battled with the formatting abilities of this old machine, time passed quicker than I could have imagined. Ah, crap. Was it too late to send a reply? As I pondered the question, I suddenly wondered when I had gotten her message. Had she maybe waited until she had got home before sending that message? As I looked at the timestamp and did the math, I realized that she must have said it right after saying goodbye at the bottom of the hill. I'd had this message in my inbox for a few hours now. The gap in time left me gripped by an icy fear. If I were just your everyday kid, I would have replied to the message right away. Okay, I didn't skip over anything. The blindness had robbed me of much more than my eyesight. The inability to see the holograms was stealing my ability to form relationships from me, stealing time itself from under my nose. All in one PC, ew. The blindness hadn't been this bad at first. Excluding the fact that I needed to wear the sunglasses, I had been like everyone else. But ever since last year, after that one day, when I'd lost the ability to wear them anymore, I grabbed the sunglasses off my desk. I understood why Dr. Yujin got angry every time I saw her. If I wasn't able to wear these sunglasses, I was going to start missing out on a lot of important opportunities in life. put the sunglasses on. They called me a different person they called me a monster until I put on the mask. A single line of light formed on the lenses of the sunglasses. Then that line started tracing its way up the walls, outlining their holograms that had been hiding in plain sight. The dreariness that had been my room only seconds before was suddenly shining with its own light. Then I suddenly felt dizzy and my head started pounding. With each beat of my heart, my body was filled with an anxiety and a palpable throbbing pain. Are you alright, homie? Homie, you good? That's not good. Okay, so he has, like, bad anxiety attacks when he uses these glasses. Ugh. Why was this happening? There was nothing here that would cause such an attack. Until last year, I'd been able to wear these sunglasses without incident. So why was I seeing the world through this thin layer of glass, causing me so much agony? A question without an answer. It had just been a simple hologram covering. The whole world was just dressed in a single layer of clothes. The holograms were nothing more than a simple dressing, covering the real world, which lingered in the shadows, as menacing as a freshly sharpened blade. And I was positioned directly over that blade, gripping the edge of a cliff that would crumble at any second, watching as the cracks slowly began to spread over its surface. I lived in a constant state of fear and paranoia, convinced that I would be the next to fall. Let's go! Anyways, we've reached about the halfway point on the stream. So I'm going to go take a water break. And then I'm going to come back in about 5 or 10 minutes and resume the stream. I'll just be sitting here doing nothing, so don't expect much. So I'll be back in a little bit and see you all in a few minutes. Hello. How's it going? Hello everyone, I'm back. And now we're going to restart the stream. So, let's just hop right into existence. Last left off like 5 minutes ago. So not much time has actually passed, but we basically put on glasses, had a panic attack, and now we're just waking up. Right after I woke up, I called the school office to let them know it was up and headed off for the hospital. Since it was a medical checkup, the school had no problem with my absence, as long as I let them know about it beforehand. Dr. Eugen had insisted in her message that I come by in the morning. Honestly, heading to the outskirts of the city first thing in the morning didn't sound like much fun. That sounds like something you want to do if you're gonna get shanked, stabbed in a back alley, robbed, mugged, all sorts of bad things. But my fear of what might happen if I ignored her drove out the reluctance. So we know this person is more afraid of Dr. Eugen than the possibility of being killed. The outskirts of the city always seemed rather empty, but since it was right after rush hour, and people had arrived at their workplaces already, it seemed completely deserted. With no traces of human life to be seen, I felt like I had set foot on another planet. And with that dumb thought on my mind, I headed towards the entrance to the hospital. It's the doctor! Let's go. It's our favorite character. My personal favorite character, at least. I know Starscream, you were quite fond of them last stream. So, how is she? Our little princess. Huh? Princess? The girl you met before. Are you saying she's no princess? I don't remember calling her anything quite so cringeworthy as princess. I don't remember. Also, she gets such a large amount of screen compared to every other character. Like, they know what's up. They know what's up. Twitch also knew what was up when they made her the thumbnail for my last stream of this game. Thanks for the assist there, Twitch. Really? From how you were talking about her yesterday, I figured you had completely fallen for her. Where had she gotten that from? Stop feeding me such troubled looks. I called you here for a reason. Her smile brings me life. Does feels like you called me here to give me another mission or something. Seriously, what kind of boy has no faith in his own doctor? I'd have all the faith in that doctor. Sign me up. Wow, it seemed like she had a bit of a conscience after all. I didn't ask you here to give you orders. I was just curious if you were able to meet up with a girl who somehow let you see for a hologram for once. What was that pause? I don't know. Existence? Noise. Talking. Words? English. Yes. I did. Of course, that was exactly what she wanted to hear about. And have you figured out the key to why you were able to see her hologram? I haven't been able to figure out that part, but it's not just her I can see. I can see the holograms in the clubhouse she made as well. What do you mean? Well, the girl decorated her room for her club. When I'm in the room, I can see all the holograms she set up. So then, you can't see all the holograms in other areas the girl's in? Oh, that. I was just gonna call the doctor hot, gonna be honest. I was just gonna call her hot. She is. don't think so. I've got to investigate a little bit more, but I definitely didn't see any of the holograms on the way back to the school. Smoking. She is. When I put it that way, it sounded like Cho Hyun was emitting some kind of electromagnetic signal for me or something. EMG, electromagnetic girl. Have you figured anything out? Maybe. Tell me. Nope. What did I tell you about looking at me like that? If I decide not to tell you, it's because I have my reasons. Don't forget that I am your doctor. At least tell me the reasons you have. I've told you before, the blindness is a mental disorder. If I were to tell you what I know, all hopes of curing you would disappear in an instant. Plus, it's all just conjecture at this point. I don't want to poison your thoughts with false notions and preconceptions. Well, something just got caught in my throat. What kind of preconceptions? Let's leave it there for now. Ah. I mean, wouldn't it be better if you were able to figure out her secret out yourself? I think it'll be good for you. What do you mean by that? I meant what I said, boy. Dr. Yujin patted me on the shoulder, looking like she already knew everything that was going on. Hearing her talk about Cho Hyun just made my skin crawl. Scary. Anyhow, I can assure you that this girl is the key to understanding your blindness. She's a key? I wish she could be the whole game. Like, I would have paid at least twice as much as I paid if this was the whole game. There are many cases of the blindness going away as patients get older. I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but there is no drug that will miraculously cure your blindness. The cure seems to be human interaction. Talk to people. It's good. Wow, you sound like my teacher. Ugh. There certainly were similarities between the two jobs. I guess I am. Your teachers must push you to be more social too, huh? Also known as, stop being a little nerd and talk to people. Dr. Yujin seemed a bit embarrassed by the comparison because she started twirling a little lock of her hair around her finger. They gotta show an image. Ah, no, they aren't gonna show us an image of it. Sad. I mean, I'm still not complaining, but still kind of sad. But really, you're telling me making a single friend is somehow going to cure me of my blindness? Well, I'm not suggesting anything quite that extreme. This is the first time you've ever actually grown close to someone, though, is it not? This man lonely. I don't feel like I'm growing closer to her as much as I feel like you're pushing me toward her. I mean, you're still getting closer. I don't really care how you feel. My job is to make sure that you're not in your room alone every day. Even if it's not the girl, you need someone in your life. If I could just wear those sunglasses, I could go back to my normal life so easily. The fact that you can't wear them is what got us into this mess. Dr. Yujin let out a dramatic sigh. And let me say this once more to be safe. You must not tell her about your blindness. You didn't need to remind me, I know. Telling her would be like stabbing myself in the foot. Honestly though, wasn't that one of the reasons I was unable to get close to people? I couldn't tell anyone about my blindness. What kind of an idiot would tell people a secret like that when those people could easily turn it around and use it as a weapon? You'd be surprised, some people are very gullible. Secrets like that aren't just about pros and cons. If this were to get out, it wouldn't just be used as a weapon against you. Whatever, let's wrap this up. Damn, they're wrapping this up. What a shame. She called me over first thing in the morning for this? Seriously? Seriously, do I look like a person who cracks jokes? You definitely don't joke around with me. I got up out of my chair, muttering some complaint about coming all the way here first thing in the morning. Starting today I would like to see you every morning. Well, that just sounds really inconvenient for this guy, but, yes please, thank you. And I will see you again soon. Huh? What was that? You heard me. If you miss a single morning, you know what will happen. But why? Weren't our monthly meetings grading enough on each other? You silly little boy. Right now is a turning point in your treatment. I need to keep tabs on you. How am I supposed to keep up with my studies if I'm missing my morning classes every single day? How am I supposed to do anything? A student's duty is to study. That was the final weapon I had to combat the doctor, and it was a valid argument at that. Can you call what you are doing keeping up with your studies when you're not even able to see a single hologram? She turned my perfectly valid argument around and used it against me. In the modern age, every single thing the teacher wrote out for the students was displayed on a hologram board in front of the class. Ever since I had lost the ability to wear the sunglasses, my grades had been in an unrecoverable nosedive. Besides, I'm well aware that your grades are already so low they'd have to go underground to get any worse. Huh? How do you know about my grades? I am the doctor in charge of your case. You should know that you have no right to privacy as it relates to me in this case. Rip this guy's private life. Seriously? That's how serious we take the blindness here. The bitter smile that Dr. Eugen wore as she told me that she wasn't very happy about this whole situation either. If you're curious about anything, don't hold your questions in. You can call me any time. The sudden kindness did nothing to help alleviate my anxiety. Wow. By the time I got back to school, it was already afternoon. The one good thing about my little trip was that I had been able to have lunch off campus. Before heading back to my classroom, I looked over at the path that ran behind the school. The place that should have been covered by a hologram wall was now a secret path to the only place where I was able to see any holograms. There's still quite a while before the next class starts. In fact, lunchtime seemed to have just started. There was no point in going back to the classroom so early. So I decided to kill a little time. I headed over toward the secret paths. I approached the border where flower beds turned to bushes. That was where the wall should be, though I could see no sign of a wall. Those without the blindness would never know what had existed behind that very real-looking barrier. Yet she had been able to figure out the secret from one little painting, without being able to see the world behind the holograms. I couldn't figure that part out. For those who had never known what was underneath the holograms, what would they feel if they knew this barrier was nothing but empty space? If I were them, I probably would never have imagined that possibility even existed. Was there really something special about Cho-Yun that led her to all of this? Or maybe this was all just one big coincidence. It wasn't just about Cho-Hyun though. I could see the holograms in the shack that hosted our classical arts club. Every item in that room seemed so full of life and personality. It had been a year since I had been able to see anything so clearly. I still had time. Would it be alright to spend it up at that clubhouse? Cho-Hyun probably wouldn't be up there at lunchtime, so maybe that would give me some time to get a proper look around. Honestly, I just wanted to lay eyes on the holograms once more. I was a member of the Classical Arts Club now, so it wasn't that strange to want to visit my own clubhouse. Alright. I made my way up the path. The moment I pushed through the first bushes, I was reminded of an old story. In the story, the main character trudged through a forest, climbed over a mountain, and forded a river to reach a magical castle. The clubhouse was no magic castle, but there was magic there for me nonetheless. I had gotten used to the path since I'd already been up and down once before, but it was still pretty rough. When I got the chance, I had to do something about all this grass. Since it was the only path up to the clubhouse, I probably needed to discuss our options with Cho-hyun first. I dusted off my hologram suit that had been roughed up by the tall grass and made my way up to the clubhouse. And who did I find in front of said clubhouse? It was none other than Cho-hyun, sitting in a chair and having a little snooze, taking a little nap. What was she doing up here? In addition to all of the questions that were suddenly rushing to my mind, I was stunned by the sight in front of me. It looked like Cho-hyun was sitting in an old wooden chair, stolen straight out of a classical painting. Not only that, the way she was sleeping and the way the sun was shining down on her face must have made the whole scene look like it was ripped straight out from an old painting. Sure, if the old painting was like an anime game made in 2021. I guess that's old for them, so, yeah. There wasn't a single thing about the scene that seemed real. Had she actually stepped into a time machine somewhere along the way and been zapped here from the 20th century? I remembered something Dr. Yujin had said about the inability to see holograms, giving the blindness a rather outdated look on life. But even I could tell that she was a complete outsider. I never could have imagined myself snoozing in the sun like that, let alone seeing any modern-day person in such a pose. She's just taking a nap. She's not, posing or anything. I saw an empty lunchbox lying open next to her, confirmed what I had suspected. She had come up here to eat lunch alone, and had ended up dozing off. Hanging out next to a sleeping girl kind of felt weird. After one look at this fairy tale scene, I decided to head back to the school. And it is now... What time in the afternoon? That's the skies are salmon pink. That's not afternoon, that's at least 5 p.m. In winter. But we know it's not in winter because there are proper green light growing. Cho-hyun had said something about not forgiving any unexcused absences. I wasn't sure what no forgiveness entailed, but I headed up to the clubhouse anyways. Was it because the class had been especially boring that day? I felt like I had a little expectant spring in my step as I headed into the classical arts clubhouse. On the way, I saw quite a few more drones than usual. They watchin'. By their size, I figured them to be disguised as cats or rabbits. It was hard to believe that all this increased surveillance was due to just one more member, me, joining the club. I continued up towards the clubhouse, following the various drones. What could have been drawing them all up there? As I topped the hill, arriving at the clubhouse, I saw at least 10 drones congregated around the area. The small rabbit and cat-sized drones were one thing, but there was also an iron lump of a drone bigger than most men. How could they disguise a drone that big? Is bear. It was so big, I couldn't think of any hologram besides that of a full-grown bear that would do anything to camouflage. I was right. Is bear. It wasn't only the sight of the huge drone that was making my head spin. Even though all of the drones were next to the classical arts clubhouse, I was still only seeing their black skeletal shapes. If I were truly able to see holograms here, I should have been seeing a bunch of animals. From what I could tell, the ability to see holograms didn't extend to the areas around the clubhouse in Cho-hyun, but instead seemed limited to just the inside of the building, the exterior, and Cho-hyun herself. With that sigh, I stepped toward the door. Okay, so maybe it is an actual deal of him not being able to see the holograms or not. I honestly just thought it was real, but there are cases of the blindness going away, so maybe I was wrong. But like, it feels like the obvious conclusion to reach. But you never know. But as I stepped around the large drone, I saw Cho Hyun standing here. The drones and all of their various blacks, silvers, and grays stood in a circle around her. Seeing her in the middle of all those drones reminded me of a conductor giving instructions to the members of an orchestra. As our eyes met, Cho Hyun looked puzzled and just stared at me for quite some time. Ah, you're here. That's the wrong voice. I wasn't using that voice before. Then suddenly, as if a switch had flipped in her mind, her face lit up. Forgetting me after only a day, did I really have that little of an impression on people? You're late. Shouldn't new members be rushing to get here first? Then, as if forgetting her own member's existence somehow upset her, Cho Hyun suddenly lashed out at me. What are you even doing here? You can't tell? I'm using all these animals to help clean up the area. They are pulling up all the weeds and such. How had she gotten a pack of drones to help clean? And had she just called them all animals? From that look, it seems like you really haven't figured it out. She put up her hands to her forehead, as if a headache was suddenly coming on. That was what I wanted to do. Facepalm. This job is way too big for just 2 people. That's why I'm recruiting the help of these animals here. No way. Is this the cheating you were talking about yesterday? That's right. You can't be serious right now. Those drones were paid for by the public. I had no idea that individuals could set them to work like by that. Was I the only one who didn't know that? It's not like you ever cleaned up with your own 2 hands before, have you? She had a point. No argument came to mind. It wasn't just me either. Most people had never cleaned a day of their lives. That was the job of the drones. Well, just look here. Cho Hyun moved her hands back and forth in the air, manipulating some hologram I couldn't see. With a little cry, the drone started moving. The little drones got to work trimming the grass and the bushes, while the bigger ones hacked the limbs of some trees and toppled others completely. They're just leveling this entire area. Okay. No matter how long I stared, I couldn't stop imagining a dystopian scene where drones hacked away at people. Cho Hyun, on the other hand, looked on proudly as her minions did all of the work. What do you think? Cute, no? Cute? What part? Yeah, I imagine if you're just seeing those little spider-like robots, it's not very cute. Sure. How did you get all these drones to come up here? What are you talking about, drones? The animals all live around here. She looked at me with a face that said, You really didn't know that? I wanted to tell this girl about all of the things that didn't make sense with what she had just said, but I had no idea where to start. You just used your hologram to give those things instructions. People can't talk to animals. Of course we need an app to translate what we want to tell them. It was weird how she had snuck her own logic into there. It would have been a lot easier if we're consistently all wrong or all right. I don't care if you had a translator or a trumpet. Animals don't follow orders like that. They do in books and movies, don't they? Besides, these creatures here, have you ever laid eyes on a real animal? Well, what do you mean? I don't know what you've seen in movies or read about in whatever fantasy stories you've been reading, but wild animals don't just follow people's orders. Besides, there's no way real wild animals would come anywhere close to the school. All of the harmful vermin and pests that had once plagued big cities had long been driven out and extinguished in the name of public hygiene. The virus carriers like rats and pigeons had been hunted down and eradicated, and insects had been exterminated down to the very last egg. Leo, let's go! We're killing off all of the animals. No biodiversity. Let's go. And it's... Blah. Previous generations would be surprised to hear that fact, yet we had caught and eradicated them all, an idea people had long thought impossible. First of all, it's just bad for the environment to do this. This eradication paved the way for construction of our modern society, complete, unwavering, and blemish-free. And with no eco-diversity. I swear, have they never been to, like, basic geography classes? Like, they teach you all about the importance of eco-diversity and why we need to keep species alive. And these guys just... all of it gone. In addition to the harmful pests and vermin, the unruly wild animals of old had also been captured and moved to animal sanctuaries, where they could live in peace, away from humans. Thus, for the convenience and health of the human race, all unnecessary organisms were controlled and kept away from the cities. The areas around educational institutions were even more restricted. It was already quite rare to see an unkempt wooded area near a school, but they would never go so far to let wild animals roam about. I had only seen videos of real animals. So, what do you call these little guys running around? You're just seeing the hologram covers to a bunch of drones. You've never heard of an electric pet? Are they really? No way. Had she actually convinced herself they were real animals? Well, if I hadn't been one of the blind, I may have seen them as real animals too, and just accepted it as a fact. Most students didn't seem to show much interest in documentaries about animals these days. Aren't you one of the top students in the school? I'm sure something about all of this has come up in class before. Although I wasn't altogether sure whether or not I had learned about that in my class. I had a vague memory of talking about it one day in class, but it was possible that I only knew the truth, because the blindness allowed me to see the drones for what they really were. It must have been my realization of the fact that had led me toward the animal documentaries, where I'd learned the difference between the drones and actual animals. I really had no idea what normal students knew about animals. Did they believe that the drones were all real animals too? If so, they probably didn't even give the animalists they saw a second thought. Well, my grades are good, but I don't really pay attention to my teachers. Most of the time I just skip class and hang out around here. Really? Compulsory education is nothing more than a curriculum filled with a bunch of outdated information, don't you think? If there's something more worthwhile I can fill my time with, I'd rather be doing that instead of listening to the teachers drone on. God damn! This girl just spitting straight up facts. Hi, Starscream. Yeah, this is like the second time I've had the bots come around and offer the whole 5 followers, friends, and viewers on whatever, get followed money. I just never understood the appeal of it, because, like, first of all, you're not going to get a net positive of money if you're paying for getting those things. And also, it just takes away the legitimacy of building up your own following. I think it's best to, like, slowly over time, just do some streams, hope that sometimes you get a new follower, and just be happy with that, as opposed to trying to buy out for new followers. Because it's just like, why would you do that? You're just making the whole streaming, like, point of streaming just not existent. Wow. So you don't go to your classes? That's right. Well, I was honestly feeling quite beaten down by those same classes. Compared to Cho-hyun, who couldn't even tell the difference between the drones and real animals, my scores were abysmal. So all these little guys are really drones. That comes as a bit of a shock. Cho-hyun stares at the drones hacking away at the trees with a perplexed look. Should you really be letting these drones go to town like that, clearing away so much? You don't think you'll get in trouble for destroying public property or something? Will I? Since this is school property and there are no hologram warnings anywhere, I don't think they were doing anything illegal. So if she did something illegal, a holographic warning would pop up in front of her face. You know about those warnings from experience? That's a rather upsetting fact. I was one of the blind, but in all of my time of wearing the sunglasses, I had never seen nor heard about such warnings. You remember that painting I showed you? I learned about those warnings during my struggle to acquire... She committed a robbery. She committed a robbery. She committed... She's a criminal. She stole that painting. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. That's not good. How had she managed to get warrant for illegal activity while acquiring a painting? So then, how did you acquire that painting? You never did meet the painter. I constantly nagged at the people in the arts department, trying to persuade them to give me the data on the artwork. But when words didn't work, I decided to liberate the data with a bit of force. That meant the art department wasn't allowed to distribute works without the permission of the creator. What do you mean by force? Did you manage to make a copy of the work? When the warning popped up, I decided it wasn't a really good idea to get a criminal record this early on in life. Instead, I figured out another way to get my hands on it in a more legal manner. Oh, okay, good. She didn't steal it. She just almost stole it. So it was some kind of copyright warning that flashed up for you? Pretty much. For an honors student, you sure do all go off the walls at times. Is that just a personality quirk of yours? No. Shohyun answered with a single word and looked off into the distance somewhere, seeming to ponder her response for a second. I mean, you could say that painting made me like this. Huh? Yo, is that a flashback? Nope, we're just changing the scene. Never mind, never mind. Before I saw it, I was just your ordinary honors student. I couldn't really imagine that, having not known her back then. But I did believe that she was telling the truth. I could feel the sincerity behind her words. But after seeing that painting, everything just changed. It changed what I thought of as important. One painting did all that? Chohyun shot me a glaze. Gaze? Not glaze. Glaze is what you do donuts. It was hard to think of her as a fellow student when she looked at me like that. What kind of freshman had such a powerful gaze? I mean, it is a really good painting, but it was still just painted by a high school student, right? There are plenty of paintings out there that are more famous. I'm sure an honors student like you must have seen many of them. Some of them. I guess you do have a point. Chohyun crosses her arms and lets out a little groan as if she was choosing her next words carefully. Then, seemingly lost in her own brain and searching for what to say, she sat down on the wooden chair nearby. It was the same chair I had seen her dozing off earlier at lunch. There was a similar-looking chair next to it now. That hadn't been there before. Had she brought another one up? Chohyun glanced down at the chair and back up at me. Sit, she was saying with her eyes. She must have brought the chair up for me. It would have been a bit of an insult to not sit in it. As I sat down, the chair rocked back a tiny bit with a cute little squeak. As Chohyun searched for a response, I watched the drones trim the grass nearby. In the past, fears about carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases had driven the debate on how to balance urban expansion with environmental preservation. I remembered seeing something about that in a documentary. Despite the growing debate about deforestation, so many products had been made out of wood that logging had grown into a monstrously large industry, and the forests had been shrinking. But since those issues didn't exist anymore, the dispute died out as well. It was a dispute consigned to old movies, documentaries, and oddball memories like mine. A problem that had been widely considered a global issue had simply disappeared. Students besides me with my own special quirks didn't learn about or spare a thought about to such things. Even an issue as griping as that had simply vanished with time. Yet a simple painting a year before had been enough to change this girl to her very core. Could that really be the driving force behind all of her movements up to this point? It was hard for me to understand how that could be. No, it wasn't completely out of the realm of possibility. Wasn't it conceivable for a person to make a very personal connection with a work of art, leading to a life-changing realization? Okay. While I was lost in my own thoughts, Cho-hyun seems to have figured out exactly what she wanted to say and began explaining herself quickly. About that painting, on one hand, someone might think that the painter dressed the school up in that creepy hologram skin to inspire fear, but it could have also been their own troubled feelings that inspired the work. She was right in a way. The only people troubled enough to know about the truth about that painting were the blind. To a normal person, it would seem just like a painting made to draw out unpleasant emotions. People didn't easily believe things they couldn't see with their own eyes. But I think that's what gives the painting a deeper meaning. Everyone takes the holograms for granted, but they can change on a few people's whims. A beautiful scene could turn into a nightmare with a few small interactions with the cloud. Honestly, if I had seen that painting in any other setting, I'm not sure I would have liked it as much. What do you mean? There were quite a few paintings at that exhibition with a similar subject matter. There were many more technical or beautiful paintings. What made that one painting so memorable was the desperation I could feel emanating from it. Desperation? Maybe it just felt that way compared to the other paintings surrounding it. Those other paintings were so ordinary, but somehow this one felt so intense, like it was screaming, "I am unique." Then I realized that it was actually a painting of the same scene as the pictures next to it, just painted a different way. That's when I realized how imperfect our world is. What I'm seeing right now is just a tiny sliver of reality. One simple hologram can change humanity's entire perception of the world. The painter could realize that fact and wanted to mock society for not figuring it out yet. Could you feel that? It's like the painter was saying, this could be the real truth. That is the real truth. Sucks to suck. Well, that could just be what I felt at the time. It could just be the work of a twisted mind. That's why I wanted to meet the painter and see what kind of mind could come up with such a work. I still do. You do? Sorry. It's something I've been thinking about for quite some time now. But it all must be pretty boring for you, honestly. Compared to other fangirls, I haven't gone that far overboard, have I? Cho-hyun brought up her hand to scratch her cheek, looking a little embarrassed. What about you? What did you feel when you saw that painting? You were a little vague when you talked about it that first time. Well, out with it. I feel like I've been having a super awkward conversation with myself this whole time. So this girl did have the ability to feel some shame. You don't have to tell me about the painting if you don't want to. Is there some other work that has this kind of impact on you? Cho-hyun thought for a second before speaking out again. I mean, something that really changed the way you view the world. She'd gotten so serious all of a sudden. It was a question that demanded a serious answer. Well, I expect it won't be too hard for my vice presidents to come up with just one beautiful, inspiring work of art. Vice president? I'm the president, and there was no one else in the club. Of course it falls on you to be the acting vice president. Doesn't feel like a very meaningful title then. Just answer the question. Have you ever felt that way about a painting before? I'm going to need some time to think about it. I guess most people don't really dive into art this deeply. They just give a painting a single glance and move on to the next one. If you've never felt like this before, it's whatever. It's just, I can't think of one right this second. You're sure? Unfortunately, yes. Quite unfortunate indeed. I guess so. I hope you find a work of art that you can feel this way about. Then if someone asks you later on, you can actually give them a straight answer. Me too. What's wrong? You're looking a little deflated all of a sudden. It's nothing. I was just making a mental list of what paintings I've seen before. Yeah? After that, we sat in silence for a while. I couldn't do much to hide my agitation, though. This girl was just as unique as I thought she would be. She wasn't one of the blind like me, just a normal girl from the modern age. But in viewing that painting, Cho-hyun had understood something that others couldn't, catching a glimpse into the world of the blind. She viewed the world as I did. Even though she didn't have the blindness, she had been able to see the world for what it really was, able to understand my situation better than anyone I had ever crossed paths with before. I'll let that thought roll around in my mind for a little while. Wah. You're taking a lot longer than I thought you would. After watching all of her animal friends for a while, probably recognizing that they were all drones now, Cho-hyun got up to stretch, looking quite bored. You said these drones come up here often, right? Yep. You sure that you didn't bring them all up here to clean for you? But if I did, at least it makes our job easier. Even if that is unauthorized use of public property? What's wrong with you, Mr. Vice President? You scared? What do you mean, scared? You said you didn't see any warnings pop up. That's the right attitude. I'm liking you more and more. I gave her a little smile. Cho-hyun responded with a giggle. We were hitting it off a lot easier than I thought we might. Well, since we have no idea how long this will take, you want to go do something club-related inside? What kind of something? Do I have to remind you that this is an art club? We should be making art, painting and such. We headed inside. It was still a bit of a mess. No, it looked like it was more of a mess than last time. Don't you think we could clean this place up a bit? What are you talking about? This place is perfectly clean. Are you serious? I'm always serious. I was about to voice my complaints, but I bit my tongue instead. Ow. The drones were all busy outside, and I didn't really want to do it myself. I'm going to start with oil paints. You? I guess I'll just sketch a little something. I said that, but it wasn't like I had a hologram canvas handy or any tools to sketch with. Besides, I didn't have my sunglasses on me, so there was no way to see what I was sketching anyway. There was always the possibility that I would be able to see the hologram since I was in the room, but I hadn't been able to see the drones outside properly. There's a sketchbook over there. If you're going to be trying your hand at oil painting like me, you're going to have to get used to traditional tools anyway. It'll be good for you to get in some practice. I can't believe we're still in this room. It do be a room. Cho-hyun pointed over to a corner of the room as she said that. This is real paper, not a hologram? This must have cost a small fortune. I told you, we are doing classical art. No hologram tools allowed here. All that talk about traditional art supplies wasn't just talk at all. She had actually prepared all of this in advance. These days it was rare to even lay a finger on a real piece of paper. It was a little bit pricey. There's a pencil over there too, but you'll have to sharpen it first. She had said something about having used up all the club's funds, but looking around at all of the art supplies, I can't imagine how much all of this had cost. Yeah, art supplies are pricey today. This must have cost an actual fortune. She must have gotten a lot more money than I had imagined. I set up an easel and wheeled the chair over to it. Despite the chaotic look of all the art supplies, it was surprisingly easy to find what I was looking for. In the time I had grabbed a sketchbook, set it up on the easel, and was pondering what I wanted to draw, Cho-hyun was already falling into her painting. Aww. The smell of the oil paints wafted through the clubhouse. All right, I forgot to open the windows. With a wave of her hand, all the windows opened themselves, and the fresh mountain air blew through the room. The image of her painting like that was so gripping that, before I knew it, I was sketching the scene in front of me. Though it was a rather rough start, I felt so much more comfortable with the pencil and the sketchbook than I ever felt with a hologram canvas. I was completely absorbed in my sketch. This is taking longer than I expected. Cho-hyun twisted in her chair and stretched her tired limbs. As my model started moving, my hands naturally ground to a halt. What do you mean? The oil paints. I'm gonna have to wait until these parts are dry before I continue. Ah. That was something I'd never had to think about when I was painting with holograms. With real paint, she was going to have to wait a while to give it all some time to dry. What are you painting? I got up from my chair and went over behind Cho-hyun. I guess you could call it a reproduction? As I looked over her shoulder at the canvas, I could tell exactly what Cho-hyun was going for. The composition was a little different, but it looked like she was trying to create the vision of the Dre machine build of a building she had seen in the other painting. It looked like she had finished the background and was ready to move on to the foreground. If you're trying to recreate something, there are probably better works to choose from. I knew how much she liked that painting, but no matter how you looked at it, the technique of the piece was a little bit sloppy. Recreating that wasn't going to help her improve very much. You're probably right, but doesn't any recreation depend on the viewpoint of the person recreating it? If you think like that, it doesn't matter which painting I would choose. The composition of the work is my own creation, so it's going to be partially mine. But whoever painted that, I have a feeling that regardless of what the painter were to look at, would probably turn out pretty similar to the painting you have. No way. Well, I do hope you're right about that, actually. Honestly, I had never imagined a normal person would ever draw something from the perspective of one of the blind. Just the finishing touches left, then? Seems like, but it does seem like it's still missing something. What? My painting just feels dark. Something about the original has this different feel to it, but no matter how many times I try to recreate that scene, I just can't seem to capture the mood. Maybe it's just too abstract to fully come to terms with. You think? Then this isn't the first time you've tried to recreate that painting? That's right. I tried using a hologram canvas at first, but it looked so wrong that I deleted it immediately. I started imitating the piece in earnest after starting the classical arts club last semester. I felt like it needed to be done with oils. If you're going to paint it on a real canvas, how are you planning on storing it later? That doesn't sound like a simple task. True, carrying them all to my house is a little much, so I've just been storing them here. You see all those canvases over there? Cho-hyun pointed out mounted of canvases in another corner of the room. How was I supposed to make out which canvases she was talking about in all that mess? What about trying something else out then? I know you like that painting, but it doesn't seem like a good idea to do the same thing over and over again. Plus, you said that the reception to it at the art exhibition wasn't that good, right? That's right. Cho-hyun nodded her head in agreement. But I don't want to try something else. Try anything else. Picky. But sometimes that's just how it is. Huh? I have to be honest with my paintings. How can I do that if I'm worried about other people? Regardless of whether others have different ideas about art or don't understand, I have to be honest with myself. An artist worthy of the name should express her inner truth. Pretty haughty words for an art student. Are you quoting August Rodin? Why was she quoting a sculptor while she was trying to do an oil painting? Not bad, Mr. Vice President. And with that scene change, I am going to pop down a save. Not forget to do that this time. And it's getting a bit later into the stream, so I think that's where I'm going to call it for today's. Thank you all for coming out. If you enjoyed, you can check out other streams on my YouTube channel, where I'm now uploading VODs, though they won't be up for a while. And even once they are up, I still gotta make them thumbnails, so that's gonna take a bit. But, yeah. I'll see you all next time I stream, and goodbye.